Released in 2014 and developed by Team Reptile and based off the Flash game prototype bearing the same name, it's Lethal League for the PC, available on Steam. As of this recording in August of 2015, the game is currently on version 1.07.12. In Lethal League, with no real context or story, you play as up to 6 different playable characters who face off against each other in an arena and up to 4 players at once. The goal simply being to hit the ball at one another to knock them out. And with each consecutive hit to the ball, it gains speed, which makes things very interesting very fast. The game also features a number of different modes, from online to versus to an extra menu with different things such as a tutorial, training mode, as well as a challenge mode, which basically acts as the core single-player aspect of the game itself. But is it any good? Let's find out with the good. One of the best aspects to Lethal League in its gameplay is the pick-up-and-play nature of the game itself. It's easy to learn, and you'll be smashing your opponents in no time flat. The game features an easy-to-learn tutorial to help newcomers out, but the concept itself is pretty easy to wrap your head around. It's also extremely addicting. The first time me and my friends started playing Lethal League, we couldn't stop. The gameplay itself is fairly unique, almost reminding me of Pong on steroids, with a gorgeous art style and blazing soundtrack to boast its intensity. The game is easy to play, but definitely takes some serious skill and good timing to master it. But easily the best aspect of Lethal League is the online multiplayer. Whether you're in a team match or free-for-all, Lethal League truly shines when you're pitted against your friends as you battle it out. You've also got access to a variety of different game options if you're hosting, from changing the speed of the ball itself when you hit it, to a big ball mode, team versus matches, free-for-all, and a mode where you basically have to hit the opposing team's target at each end of the map to gain points. The character roster as well are varied enough and have their own unique abilities as well to mix things up, and you unlock different skins for them as you progress the game and earn experience and level up. In the end, we had tons of fun playing this for hours on end, and is easily one of the best competitive indie games I've played in recent memory. But now let's discuss the bad. Honestly, I don't have much to talk about here. Lethal League does what it does very well. I had no major issues or never felt something was unfair or overpowered, and the game is very well balanced. Probably the one issue I have is the lack of content. Despite just talking about the different game modes to choose from, Lethal League, outside of what I mentioned, doesn't offer much for core game modes. If, for example, you're looking for some beefy single-player content, you won't really find it here. Sure, you've got a versus mode where you pit yourself against the PC at different difficulty settings, as well as a challenge mode that you can beat with each character to gain some achievements, but honestly, this felt nowhere near as compelling or interesting as the multiplayer. As for the multiplayer itself, once you played each specific character and played the different maps and fiddled around with the match settings a bit, you've pretty much seen everything this game has to offer you. But in all honesty, this is all pretty minor, and I can easily see myself coming back to play this. But now let's discuss the ugly, where we discuss the graphics, soundtrack, and technical aspect of the game. Lethal League won't wow you in the sense with amazing textures and particle effects like some games might, which is obvious considering the game looks like something you would find on Newgrounds. But what it will wow you with is the fabulous art style it boasts, from the different scenic backgrounds, the character models, and the general presentation of the game itself. What Lethal League lacks in big budget impressive graphics, it more than makes up for in its amazing art style and presentation. And one thing that really adds to this is the amazing soundtrack. This is easily one of the best soundtracks I've listened to in a game in a long time, and the art style and the soundtrack overall almost give me a Jet Set Radio vibe, which I love. However, not everything is perfect. We did have a fair number of freezing issues during our online matches.
Yeah, it runs smoothly until it decides it doesn't feel like doing that anymore. Alright, I guess I'll just make a new match.
As well as the odd crash or two in my 5 or so hours I've spent with Lethal League. But overall, the gameplay itself was bug-free during our experience with it, and most of the crashes and freezing were during the online matchmaking. As I said earlier, this is probably the most fun I've had yet so far with any indie game I've played, and I highly recommend you give Lethal League a try if you got some friends looking for a fun, unique, and competitive game. Despite some minor technical issues we had, playing this was an absolute blast. But now, it's time for the rating.
Ordinary. Ordinary.